Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Aisyah Shaharudin, an MPhil candidate from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. My topic for today is professionalizing the Malaysian interpreting industry. Firstly, I'd like to give an overview of my presentation. I will start with the research background, followed by the problem statement, research objectives, and methodology. You would notice that I'm missing the results and discussion, but this is because the research is still at data collection phase. The survey forms have been distributed, and inshallah in January 2022, I will start to have some data for analysis. However, this presentation did include potential implications and contributions in the conclusion. The research background. So, before we talk about professionalization of the interpreting industry in Malaysia, I would like to first of all introduce you to the concept of an interpreter. Simply put, interpreters are verbal and sign language translators, helping two or more individuals who speak different languages to understand a common message. Napier, 2015. As you can see on the right, we have three stick figures. The country flags on two stick figures represent the languages, in this case, American English and Japanese. The figure in the middle is the interpreter, acting as a medium of communication. When we talk about professionalization, let's refer to Sang's model of professionalization, which was first developed for conference interpreters, but have since been the go-to model for interpreter professionalization research. The model characterizes professionalization into four phases. Phase 1, market disorder. Phase 2, education and training, higher awareness. Phase 3, official recognition, code of ethics. And Phase 4, autonomy, government recognition, and title protection. Around the world, we see a few countries who have successfully or are progressing towards interpreting professionalization. For example, Australia, as reported by Lavak 2013, Sweden, reported by Niska 2007, and China, Wang and Mu 2009. There are many similar elements involved in all these countries in their efforts to professionalize. For example, certification body like NATI in Australia and CATI in China, government support, education and training, as well as public awareness. But what about Malaysia? In which phase are we based on Sang's model? In Malaysia, we have a few interpreting related organizations like the Malaysian Institute of Translation and Books, ITBM, Malaysian Translators Association, MTA, and the Malaysian Sign Language Interpreter Association, MyAsli. ITBM and MTA are government-endorsed organizations with multiple functions that may overlap, which includes training, commercial translation and interpretation services, and so on. We also have University Science Malaysia, USM, as the sole training provider for translation and interpretation. USM offers translation and interpretation education from undergrad to PhD level. We also have ILCAB, which sole purpose is to provide training for Malaysian court interpreters. Based on the elements identified earlier in the previous slide, Malaysia is still missing an important element, which is regulation. There is no regulation in any form to ensure that entry into the industry is monitored by a standard or a body. This is a big issue, as an unregulated industry will impact the quality of services rendered, end user confidence, and public perception of interpreters and the interpreting industry. So, as you can see clearly, the Malaysian interpreting industry is still in phase 1 of Sang's professionalization model or market disorder. It is marked by non-regulated entry, no quality control, and low level of awareness. Now, on to the problem statement. The call to professionalize the Malaysian interpreting industry came as early as 1984 by Aziza, again in 2004 by Bell, and once more in 2009 by Ibrahim, who said, "The interpreting profession in Malaysia still faces problems similar to those experienced by counterparts many years ago: lack of regulation, inadequate training, easy admission into the profession, no professional association, no professional code of ethics, and lack of public education on what interpreting and interpreters really are." More recently, in 2019, the Vice President of the Malaysian Translators Association, Hasuria Che Omar, stresses the importance of a regulatory and certification body for translators and interpreters. So the problem statements for this research are: number one, how does the interpreting practice look like in Malaysia? Number two, what are the specific needs and challenges to professionalize the interpreting industry in Malaysia? Number three, are the interpreting training providers well equipped in capacity and expertise to cater to education and training of interpreters, both academically and for the purpose of certification? Number four, what is the professionalization mechanism that could fulfill the needs and drive the efforts of interpreting professionalization in Malaysia? Research objectives. There are four objectives for this research. Number one, to understand the interpreting practice in Malaysia from practitioners' points of view. Number two, to identify specific market needs and challenges to professionalize the Malaysian interpreting industry. Number three, to analyze training providers' capacity and expertise, both academically and for the purpose of certification. Number four, to propose a professionalization mechanism that could fulfill the needs and drive the efforts of interpreting professionalization in Malaysia. Next up, methodology. This research utilizes a combination of qualitative and quantitative methods in the form of survey and semi-structured interviews. The survey targets 100 respondents, all interpreters working in Malaysia. Semi-structured interviews are going to be conducted with ITBM and MTA, as they are the longest standing organizations related to interpretation in Malaysia, and they would be able to provide a more comprehensive look into the industry. Another interview will be conducted with USM as the sole training provider, and lastly, an interview with local translation agencies to gain deeper insights into the commercial market. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, results and discussions are pending, but I am excited to dive in deeper when they are ready. So as a conclusion, I believe that this research would be able to propose a professionalization mechanism that would uplift the credibility of interpreters, enhance quality, and improve public perception of the interpreting career. Secondly, it would promote collaborative efforts between all relevant parties in the Malaysian interpreting industry. That's all from me. Thank you very much.